And there we go. And so, yes, so welcome everyone today. We're very delighted today to have Dr. Benjamin Thorne with us. And the session is going to run around 35 minutes. And then afterwards, we're going to have a Q&A and discussion session where you can raise your hand, your virtual hand, and ask a question out loud to Benjamin. Or you can optionally put it in the chat box on the side, and Mia, who's the other criminology reading group convener, is going to read out the questions from the chat box as well. So, but without further ado, thank you, Benjamin, for agreeing to present for us today. We're delighted to have you. Benjamin completed his PhD in law studies recently on legal witnessing and mass human rights violations, remembering atrocities. Benjamin is an interdisciplinary scholar with main areas of interest within socio-legal studies, transitional justice, and social and cultural theory. Currently, a central focus is memory, transitional justice, and legal atrocity archives. More generally, he's interested in questions around visuals, sounds, as well as the broader sensory field and how people experience crime, law, and justice, particularly in the international context, and also the coexistence of these spaces of law and faith in the aftermath of mass violence. So previously, he was a visiting researcher at the University of Oxford Center or Socio-Legal Studies, and also the Aegis Trust Peace Education Team. And he's also now an associate lecturer in criminology at Arden University. So Benjamin, if you are ready, I'm going to hand the stage over, the virtual stage, over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, MJ. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for a very kind and warm introduction, MJ. So firstly, just to say, can you hear me okay? Yeah, super. First, to say a big thank you to the Edinburgh Criminology reading group for their kind invitation to talk with you today. And also a particular thank you to MJ for all of her efforts to organize today's sessions. I know these things don't happen without quite a lot of background effort. So thank you, MJ, for that. So as a starting summary statement about today's talk, taking the archive of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda as a case study, this presentation will firstly frame legal atrocity archives as hauntings, and it will then outline an original conceptual framework using insights from memory studies and sensory criminology theory. It uses this lens, or will use this lens, to explore some of the interplays between memory, human senses, and how the senses interact and contribute towards shaping experiences of interacting with legal archives and legal archive material. And in turn, how these processes have potential to contribute to plural dialogue about past events, and also contribute to the intergenerational transmission of memories, particularly within post-conflict communities, and in today's context, focusing specifically on Rwanda. So, just move to the next slide. So the talk today, it will focus on three kind of interconnected points. So the first part will introduce the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda and its archive. And in doing so, it will also frame legal atrocity archives as spaces of hauntings. It will then, in the second part, create with you a conceptual lens of memory and sensory criminology theory, and then use this to explore and to propose this as a useful lens to think about the archive material and also people's engagement with that material. And then in the third part, I will attempt to kind of draw the connections between a conceptual lens and research through artistic expression. And I'll use the illustration example of an extract from a visual, audio, performative video that I'm currently in the process of creating. So that will be the concluding part of the talk. And just to kind of note that this kind of presentation, this discussion today is very much a work in progress. So any thoughts, comments, suggestions of literature you had would be really welcomed and useful. Okay, so just bear with me one moment. And just on a final note, there will be one moment of participatory interaction for you, the audience. So just be aware of that. That will happen a bit later. Okay, so I just want to start the talk by a note of framing. So the work I'm going to talk with you about today is part of a bigger fledgling project that I'm currently trying to secure funding for. And within this bigger project, I will attempt to interrogate the archive using this theoretical framework I will discuss with you today. And then alongside this, there will be an empirical study using arts-based methods and participatory action research, and applying this method, the theoretical framework, to the Ictr Archive and local communities in Rwanda to explore what role these materials could have in aiding plural dialogue about the past, present, and future, and also aiding intergenerational transmission of memories. For today's talk, I will not go into extensive detail about the arts method, but just for you to have it there as an idea of part of this bigger project that today's talk relates to. Okay, so the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda was created in 1994 as an international response to the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, which took place between April and July, where approximately 800,000 people were killed in 100 days, predominantly ethnic Tutsi and moderate Hutu. In the post-genocide Rwandan context, there has been three main judicial justice responses. There has been the Ictr, there has also been the Rwandan National Courts, and also the Rwandan Community Gacaca Courts. The Community Gacaca Courts were located throughout Rwanda. There was around 11,000 of them at their height. And they were based in local communities, normally outside in the village square, so to speak. And they were based, the Gacaca Courts is based on a traditional local conflict resolution mechanism and was adapted in the post-genocide periods to try crimes relating to the genocide. While Gacaca has a legal component, judicial component, it was enshrined in Rwandan law. It also had a very strong reconciliation mechanism to try and aid healing and reconcile individuals and people within communities as well. So that's just to give you a little background of the different mechanisms that have been applied within the Rwandan context. Okay, so back to the Ictr. So the Ictr was in operation for a total of 21 years until 2015. In total, it's indicted or issued 93 indictments and successfully prosecuted 62 individuals. One of the criticisms of the Ictr is its distance. And here, distance is meant in two senses. Firstly, geographical distance, that the Ictr was not located in Rwanda, but in the neighboring country of Tanzania, in the town of Arusha. But secondly, and maybe even more significantly, distance in the sense that many Rwandans felt distant and detached from these proceedings, as if they were not there for them. So despite the strong rhetoric coming from the Ictr and the wider international community, saying this tribunal is here to aid victims and to aid reconciliation in Rwanda, many Rwandans did not feel that the court was there for them. And these two senses of distance can also be applied to the Ictr archive. So this image of a sort of dusty and boring depository of history may well be what first comes to the mind for some of you when you think of legal archives. Indeed, within the transitional justice, post-conflict justice scholarship, they are most commonly understood as having utility as legal evidence or as a historical record of violence. However, for me, I understand them as sites of research in and of themselves. The Ictr Archive consists of a publicly accessible physical archive in Arusha, Tanzania, and also an online archive. Through the ICTR's extensive and often long legal processes, the longest trial was just over 15 years, they have created a really rich and diverse archive relating to the genocide, with information and material relating to the pre-genocide, the genocide, and post-genocide period. And this material includes witness testimonies, hundreds of photographs, videos, audios, maps, sketches, drawings, also extracts of letters and diary entries from perpetrators. However, and kind of the important part to me at the moment is that the potential value of this material for post-conflict communities to aid plural dialogue about contested pasts and also intergenerational transmissions of memory has received little attention. So now, as a site of research, I now want to frame the ICTR as a site of hauntings. And I know in Michael's previous session in the last reading group, we've done a fascinating talk about ghost criminology. He touched upon a bit of this. Nonetheless, I just want to spend a couple of minutes now just explaining how I understand hauntings and why hauntings is a useful frame of reference for the kind of research that I am currently interested in. So firstly, to clarify what kind of haunting this work engages with. So when I'm talking about hauntings, I'm not talking about occults or the paranormal. What I am talking about is hauntings as inarticulate experiences and haunting reminders of the violence and complex social relations in which we live. So my understanding of hauntings draws particularly on the work of Wade, Frosch, and Lawfer. So in summary, hauntings is understood here to be the complexities of experiences of the past and past violence that linger and seek to be heard, and the ways in which individuals and communities attempt to come to terms with and negotiate these hauntings. Memories of violence do not stay tethered to the past. Hauntings trouble and disrupt. They haunt individuals and communities' best efforts to move forward, to move beyond the past. This understanding of hauntings as interplays of the internal, external, material, and social is key to how affected communities understand and attempt to deal with the complexities of memories of a violent past or pasts. Attending to the hauntings of legal archives is not only important for community and group healing, but also crucial for processes of doing justice to the past. And here justice is understood in its broadest and plural sense. So as Lawfer has argued, the work of truth, justice, accountability, and memory is precisely about responding to the unsettled ghosts of the past and their presence amongst the living. So here, framing legal atrocity archives as hauntings is useful as it draws focus to the archive and its materials and how these institutional containers of the past whisper, call out, and seek to be heard in all of their complexities, plurality, and messiness. Wade has suggested the haunted condition is not simply the burden, or not only the burden, of victim and survivors of mass violence. In one sense, this burden also falls very heavily on the generation that came or comes after mass violence. Wade uses the term haunted hope, referring to the student movement of Roads Must Fall in South Africa, in relation to how hauntings there directly entangled into the lives of the generation of South Africans that came after apartheid, and how they can be empowered to engage with the past and its connectivities to the present and future. So here, taking this understanding of hauntings and Wade's ideas around haunted hope as a frame, I will now introduce the conceptual lens of memory and sensory criminology theory as a useful way to understand the archive material and also people's engagement with that material. Okay, so in the conceptual framework, as part of this bigger project that I briefly mentioned at the start of the talk, memory studies and sensory criminology theory are doing pretty equal heavy workloads. However, for the purpose of today's talk, I will focus a little bit more time on sensory criminology. But just to firstly summarize kind of the research engagement with memory studies. So firstly, to position how memory is understood in this research. And here I draw upon ideas from Ricoeur, but particularly ideas from Hoskins and his ideas of memory ecologies, and Rothberg's idea of multi-directional memory. And memory in this sense is understood as something plural, multi-directional, and in a constant state of flux, moving between and across micro and macro levels of memory, and shaped, edited, and reshaped by time, space, human and material interactions. Here, adopting this understanding of memory is useful, and it is in direct kind of opposition, but I can clarify opposition in the Q&A if you want, to the term of collective memory. Whereas collective memory, both conceptually and in popular discourse, can suggest that a pinnacle of shared understanding of the past can be reached. Whereas the understanding of memory that I have, drawing on ideas from Rothberg and Hoskins, draws kind of focus the idea that memory is dynamic, plural, and all about movement and constant movement. So according to Ricoeur, memory is not a singular thing in which the more you remember, the more knowledge and understanding of the world is accumulated. Instead, memory is a plural and dispersed process which takes place in the present. Specifically, in this context, memory entails individuals and groups across and between spaces and times. Memory production consists of dominant memories, for example, those produced by the Ictr judgments, court judgments. However, importantly, the dominant memory is never autonomous and always exists in relation to other sites of memory. These spaces of memory can include legal and political institutions, news media, literature, film, documentary, social media, as well as others. Useful here to extend Ricoeur's understanding of memory is Wang's understanding of autobiographical memory as an open system embedded in the milieu of cultural, political, and legal environments in which individuals interact. Here specifically, an individual's engagement with the past transcends specific geographical locations and environments. An individual's memory is what Wang refers to in a perpetual state of dynamic transactions between individuals and the numerous environments they inhabit and interact with. Wang also suggests that the way in which personal family stories and family myths can either be drawn upon or engaged with during an individual's interaction with processes of memory. This two-way interaction between memories stimulated by an encounter with the materiality of the past, such as archived material, and family memories can often appear in unexpected ways. Related, during an individual's interaction with legal archive material can stimulate interactions with intergenerational encounters with memories. So here, just to extend Wang's idea around the materiality of memory just a little further, and using Navarro's ideas of more than human memories. So memories, as just discussed, has a significant human component. As Rothberg defines it, multidirectional. Although following Navarro, memory is also multidimensional, or more than human, as she refers to it. Multidimensional memory focuses also on the physical materiality of things, such as buildings, but also natural objects, such as hills and mountains, and how these materiality contain memories. Interpreting Navarro's ideas of multidimensional memory is helpful in the context of legal atrocity archives, as it draws attention to the ways in which human memory and more than human memories interact with each other. Okay, so now taking these ideas and understandings of memory and turning to sensory criminology. So a central concern of sensory criminology theory is the connections between sensorial experiences and knowledge production. And here we can extend this to think about memory production, the way that people's embodied experiences of spaces and material of justice and law, and what these experiences mean for those people, is fundamentally important. Carabine has stated, it is the sensory that has the most potential to challenge deep-seated epistemological assumptions about how knowledge is produced, and to pursue the implications that arise from the self-consciousness over the meaning of what it is to know. A more attuned sensitivity to the sensory in knowledge production is particularly relevant to the context of transitional justice, post-conflict justice, and local communities. The plurality of lived experiences of the past and their connectivities to the present and future are central, and the necessity to put front and center local communities in processes of knowledge production. A recent focus of the sensory in explorations of crime, law, and justice has had particular emphasis on the sense of sight. And indeed, the oscular does have a lot to offer archival fragments of memory. So for example, thinking about this in the context of the Ictr Archive, a photograph taken by a Ictr investigator of the post-genocide period depicting an image of a church could stimulate plural dialogues. So here, photographs are not sites where meaning is given, but where meaning is negotiated and searched for. In the Rwandan context, photographs from the Ictr Archive offer an opportunity for meanings of Rwanda's past to be sought and negotiated between generations. Photographs can stimulate dialogue about human experiences because imagery is explicitly orientated towards embracing the complexity and plurality of lived experiences. However, and notwithstanding this importance, the oscular should be considered alongside and its interplays with the other senses. Each of the senses do not exist as autonomous spheres. Instead, the senses are dynamic and continuously interconnected, and Pink refers to this interconnectedness of the senses as multisensory. Extending this idea there of multisensory, McClanahan and South have argued that the interplays of the senses and the totality of the senses are an essential component in processes of knowledge production. So for example, audio from the Ictr Archive, such as the sounds of atrocity, justice, and attempts to navigate life in the aftermath of violence, are sources of stimulation. A stimulation of memories about difficult past events. And here I'm referring to both the internal memories of lived experiences and also external memories of narratives and trauma connected to lived realities, but belonging to other people. The fragments of sounds can also stimulate memories that are somewhat detached from the origins of the aural source. They can equally stimulate reflection, exploration, and dialogue. Touch, taste, and smell are also present in archival encounters, sometimes through the physical interactions of the material, and sometimes through the visuality that can stimulate a forgotten smell or an absent touch. The senses are not contained within discernible boundaries or fixed structures. Instead, the senses, like memory, are dynamic and fluid, pivoting from one direction to another, sometimes with no warning and dashing in different directions. So the lived reality of shared past experiences is plural. And arguably, the untethered nature of the senses is a core component of legal archive material, as well as post-conflict communities, and also include the researchers' engagement with them as well, because the research is very much part of this sensory experience. Okay, so now for the dreaded moment of interactive participation for you. Hopefully it won't be too dreaded. It's nothing too terrible, I promise. So to try and illustrate some of these ideas around the importance of attending to the senses in transitional justice and legal archive material, I would now like all of us to consider and engage with our own sensory environment. And once we've done that, we will then together explore some of the material. But to begin, please let your arms fall down to the side of you, with your hands resting on the side of your seat. Now, move your fingers and palms of your hands slowly across the surface of the chair and reaching behind the back of the chair, touching any materials and engage with any materials your hands come into contact with. How do these materials and fabrics make you feel? What emotions might they stimulate for you? Now, if you're able to, I would like you to stand up. Slowly, thank you very much. Slowly turn to your left. I would like you to turn 360 degrees, allowing your eyes to engage with whatever takes their interest. You're not looking for anything particular, just seeing the space that you currently occupy. Okay, once you've done that, you can sit down, please. Now, I will stop speaking for a few moments, and I would like you to engage with your aural, your sound environment for about 10 seconds. And those of you wearing headphones, I would suggest that you remove those now. Let's begin our 10 seconds. What did your audio environment sound like? How did it make you feel? Were there sounds that you only became aware of now that had always existed, but you were not really aware of them, maybe? Now, imagine that you are in the archive. What can you see around you? What can you hear? How does the smell and touch of the material make you feel? The touch of the documents, the smell possibly of cardboard boxes that contain the material, the industrial feel of the photographic paper with images of the past. How does the sensation of this material in your fingers as you hold them possibly interact or stimulate personal memories from your childhood? Okay, now extending this a little further, we are together going to explore some of the material from the archive. I am going to show you 3 images and a short video clip. Each of the images will be on your screen for 10 seconds each, and then the video lasts about 25 seconds. All of the images, sounds have been taken from the Ictr Archive. Whilst watching and listening, I would like you to think of 3 words that comes to your mind based upon what you see and what you hear. At the end of the clip, I will invite you to use the chat function to write your 3 words. And just to kind of highlight, there are no right or wrong answers in the responses you give. Okay, let's begin. Okay, thank you very much. I'd encourage you, if you felt comfortable, to write your 3 words in the chat box. That'd be great. Thank you very much for your participation in this part of the talk. You'll probably be pleased to hear that your participation has now come to a conclusion, so you can relax a little bit, hopefully. And then at the end of the talk, we'll try and revisit some of your responses. Okay, so that is the end of part 2 of the talk, and now moving to part 3. So to try and help illustrate these conceptual arguments I've discussed in the first 2 parts of the talk around hauntings, memory, and sensory criminology, I will now use an example of research through artistic expression. And to do this, I will use an extract of a work in progress audio and visual performative video that I am currently creating, and which explores, the purpose of the video is to explore the interplays between legal atrocity archives, memory, human sensors, local communities, and the researcher. The extract that I will show today will last around 8 minutes. So, and this video performance, it builds upon more than 6 years experience, including my PhD project, of engaging for research with the archive of the Ictr. So the extract of the video I'm going to present in a couple of minutes is based upon a visual performative essay I have written and which was recently published in the Law and Humanities Journal and will be presented to you in a few minutes as a performative video. I just want to make a couple of practical more practically leaning notes, I suppose. So first one, I guess, is maybe a disclaimer that I'm very much a researcher and not an artist. And this work as a visual performative essay and now as a video performance is very much quite a new enterprise. I think it's a very important one, and I can see it be something I continue working with going forward, but it is quite a new enterprise, working with arts-based research. So just have that in your mind as you watch the video, please. I just thought it'd be useful as I'm referring to some of these slightly loaded terms around research for artistic expression, what do I mean by that? So in general, what I mean is arts-based research uses artistic forms and expressions to explore, understand, represent, and challenge human experiences. And arguably, artistic expression is capable of embracing the plurality and abstract nature of human experiences, particularly when those experiences entail complex, contentious, and traumatic events and relationships. All of the audio and visual material in the video has been taken from the Ictr Archive, and I'm very happy in the Q&A to discuss the process I'm going about to construct the video or any other related questions you have to do with the video. So, as I mentioned earlier, this performative video is very much a work in progress. As this work develops, and hopefully as I secure funding, the intention is to have the narration in the video, which I currently do, to be spoken by Rwandans, and eventually to have the whole piece performed live by Rwandan performing artists. So the video is intentionally disorientated and disruptive. Well, some of the central aims of it is to ignite a sensory experience for the audience, and in doing this, to provoke thought and reflection. And then just on one final practical note, as this video is a work in progress, some of the subtleties of the audio, and the audio is really important to the video, are best experienced using headphones. So if you have access to headphones, I would recommend that you put them on. Okay, now I will try and play the video. Like I said, the last 8 minutes. If you can't hear it, wave your hand or write in the chat box and we can try and resolve the issues. Rhythms, agitations, currents, odours, silences from the past, though never really of the past. Wandering, obliged, confused, momentary, plural gusts between the past, present, future. Like a gust of wind that carries up autumn leaves with their diverse colours and shades, oranges, reds, greens, yellows, purples, browns. Some crisp and fresh, others damp with the smell of cool autumn rain, are blown, tossed together, dispersed, reunited, cluster, become isolated. Strong, unexpected, subtle, pulsing, absent, comforting gusts. Interactions of past, present, future are always a gust. Texture, shards of sound, renderings of lights, dark, and the bits in between. Fabric, words, smiles, fear, despair, tenderness, optics, gesture. Pre-genocide, genocide, post-genocide. Families, belonging, contradictions, foreigners wandering, dispersed, borders, explanations, uncertainties. Court clerk's shoes travelling across the room, clearing of the throats before words are spoken. The whirring of helicopter blades, first close, then distant, the clicking and clacking of historical record creation. The everydayness of architecture, bricks, cement, paint, the nervous glance and slight ill-fitting suit of a defendant, the multiplicity of photographic meaning and interpretation. The coolness of paper that has been stored in an environmentally controlled conditions. The ascendance of a finger as it leaves the plateau and nakedness of paper and connects with the elevated print of typed words. The dripping of forgotten coffee falling from the communal coffee machine as you await the archivist's return, imagining the taste of the dark liquid on your tongue, roof of your mouth, at the edges of your throat. The origins of the coffee drift into the mind. The appearance of an idolized image of a farmer with a weary but comforting smile, backloaded with the bountiful harvest of the day's pickings. Remnants of mould on the corner of a document betrays the archive material's secret past outside of appropriate storage conditions. The mould, a bittersweet memory of opening that yogurt, discovering its presence on the morning we suddenly had to. The familiar scent of aged cardboard ignites a far-off, almost extinguished memory of a moment of adolescent foolishness. The industrial smell of a reel of a cassette tape, bringing to the present long-gone sing-alongs with absent friends.
Monsieur le Président. Je vous remercie. Vous pouvez vous retirer. Vous pouvez vous retirer. Merci, Monsieur le Président. 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 Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Legal Atrocity Archives as justice, repair, recovery, hope, peace. Peacefully, being at peace, piecing together, pieces of a jigsaw, missing pieces, piercing silence, perpetuating power. Dialogue, complexity, being with and hearing others, poking purportedly autonomous bubbles of the past, connectivity, opening the trial's black box, maybe Pandora's box. No, too dramatic. Ethics, ethical, ethically, morals, risk, exploiting, consent. Individual, community, society, societal, social, subject, subjectivity, my privileged subjectivity, shaping, including, distorting, excluding, rigidifying, constructing, memories, stories, narratives, trauma, unexperienced trauma, trauma of others, loved ones, near but distant trauma, intergenerational transmission of traumatic actions, shaping the memories of others and the self, complicating identities, communal sharing of past experiences, understanding, disapproving of actions but acknowledging experiences, active participation. Okay, that's where I'll bring my talk to an end. Thank you very much for attending and watching. I'm very happy to answer any questions that you might have.